konstant med det her koncept. Prøver forskellige ting af, for at se, hvad der lander. Og så tager vi det med, og så tager vi det fra, der ikke dur.
Det er super træls at gøre noget delvis på engelsk.
Det kan vi godt. Jeg har faktisk skrevet det på dansk, men jeg skal gerne tale engelsk. Det kan vi godt.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's okay, no problem.
Yeah. Right. So first order of business, of course, is that we'd like to get to know each other. So we usually do a round of who's who. And I can start out by telling about me. My name is Daniel. I am so lucky to have been allowed to be the community leader for ACE Aarhus. Have been so for about a year and a half now. In my daily work, I'm a consultant with Translucent. We have an office up here on the 6th floor. And I have a broad experience with Atlassian's tools, primarily Jira and Confluence, but also a bunch of the other tools around it. Yep. Let's continue from here, clockwise. The things I wanted to ask and kind of get your feedback on this meeting is that some of the things I've experienced between the meetings, after the meetings, is that there have been perhaps some interesting talks across the table, and people have reached out to me and asked, can I get the email or the phone number for this member who was at the meeting last time? And honestly, I have to say no. Even if I wanted to, I cannot see your email and addresses when you sign up for Atlassian. I just get a bunch of stars and a domain, so I wouldn't know who to contact. But I would like to support that, and I've put some suggestions up here. One of them being creating a LinkedIn group for our Atlassian community in Aarhus, where we can have discussions. I can post announcements, similarly to how we send out emails currently. Yeah. Any thoughts on that? Alternatives? Suggestions? Would you be interested in joining such a LinkedIn group? Yeah? Sounds good. We'll get that going.
For sharing of information, this is by far preferable to mails and news mails.
Exactly, yeah.
From my point of view.
Because mails just end up in, a bunch of mails.
Feed folder.
Yeah. Similarly, we also thought about ways of engaging between these physical meetings. One thing I've seen with the Atlassian community at large, and that I participate in and get invited to a lot of, are these so-called coffee chats, where we as community leaders hang out, share experience, what works, what doesn't work, different ideas for meetings. In the same vein, for this group, we could perhaps have, say, some focused, shorter Teams, Zoom, whatever meetings, talking about more focused topics. One could be a user management meeting, one could be an advanced roadmaps meeting, and so forth. Any thoughts on that? Something you would find interesting? Perhaps we could create a poll in the LinkedIn group for topics. Yeah. Our agenda for today. First off, I've gathered some of the highlights and product news since we last met. We'll take a quick break. We'll do our mini workshops, hands-on with different products. Short break again. We'll then hear from Christian and Arushi. We'll have a bite to eat, and then we'll arrange a quick Kahoot, a quiz with a prize. Atlassian themed, of course.
Yes.
Speaking of news, I have news about the next upcoming event here in Aarhus. I got contacted a few months back, or fairly recently actually, by Atlassian, who are hosting an event in Sydney this November, ITSM themed, and they would like to extend this event out to different cities across the world, and we've been selected among 20 community groups in total to host the ITSM conference here in Aarhus. So we've rented out Godsbanen here in Aarhus. I cannot offer you too much in terms of content just yet, but expect content from Atlassian, interesting talks about ITSM product demos and so forth. The event page has already gone up. You can see it on ace.com, at ace.atlassian.com/Aarhus. And those of you who actually catch the mails from ACE Aarhus will also have noticed that at the same time this went up, we moved ahead the next meeting we had planned, which was actually planned for a week after this. That would obviously clash a bit. But for that, we have another Atlassian employee who will be joining us. So Sven Peters from Kiel, as I recall, will be joining us on their team shaping tour, talking about teamwork and the challenges you may face. So do mark your calendars for this date as well. 25th of January next year. Okay. Back to the news, but first, as anyone who's been here before knows, we need you. This is all about you. We'd like you, similarly to how Christian and Aruju will be telling us about their use of automation for Jira today. I've gathered some of the different topics we've heard expressed interest in over the meetings. And these are just suggestions. Anything you'd like to tell us about, your stories from the real world, do reach out to me, do let me know. My email address and phone number is here. I'll also make this slide deck available after the meeting, so you can find it in there. And there's a contact button on the chapter page on ace.atlassian.com. And now for the news. Some of the stuff I found exciting. First one, perhaps a little bit nerdy, but very valuable, I'd say. This, don't focus too much on what this exactly does. The example here is to show that writing search queries in Jira can often become a little bit complicated. It's a very powerful searching language. I really like what you can do with it. But, and this is actually a fairly, I've seen examples of search queries 3-4 times the size of this, and then they can become very cumbersome to work with. I've often had to pull them out into a code editor and work with them there instead. So that's been folded into Jira software. I need to stand on this side. I think it's direction of the, yeah. This is already available. The tricky part is that when you go to your global search in Jira, I've seen it in 1 or 2 Jira instances, but for most you need to go to the issues list within a project, and then you can use this. And this is the exact same search, just listed in a different way. And I know which one I would prefer to work with. Confluence. We got dark mode in Jira some time ago now, and now dark mode for Confluence has launched in alpha. And it's alpha. I've chosen a screenshot here that shows it from its good side. Once you start working with macros and stuff like that, it starts looking really alpha. But it's good to see, very requested feature. Also, in Confluence, and I think this is rolled out to most sites if the admins have enabled it, Confluence whiteboards in beta. I've had a go with this. I don't quite yet see it as a replacement for dedicated diagramming and whiteboarding tools, but it's a starting point. It's looking good, and the integration with Jira is really nice. This one might seem like a detail, but actually it's been a very requested feature for a very long time. What was once the creator of a page would always be the creator of the page. You could not, when an individual, for example, left a company, they would stay the creator of that page. And if we want to do some like revisions or go in and see the history, check upon what needs updating, who needs to update it, we need a current owner of the page. That is now doable in Confluence. Also for people migrating from server data center to cloud, this has been a very requested feature. Basically what happened with migrated content was that it would land in cloud in the old format that we know from server and data center, and you would need to manually update page by page to the new editor. We now have a bulk option for that. I think I'll just use the keyboard. Okay.
And anybody heard about if they're ever going to change the space owner or space creator?
I have not heard of that, no.
Because we missed that as well. This one is nice, but the other one is just the final.
Yeah, we can see if we can look up there. Most likely is a feature request for that, gathering interest somewhere. Yeah. Jira boards are getting a facelift. This is for company managed boards specifically, actually. These are features that have been available in team-managed projects for quite some time and are now available in company-managed boards. It may still need to be enabled by the admin, and users will then get the option to activate this. And you can then update a bunch more stuff than you could before. As I recall, you couldn't even set the story points on an issue in a company-managed project. So that's been a sorely missed feature that is now available. All of the previous, by the way, cloud only, all the way. And that's where we see the most new features, the most improvements. But we try to show a bit of love to data center as well. So we keep it in here. All of the releases we see in data center are focused on performance. So what I've been able to scrape up was a singular feature update. So we went from, if I recall correctly, from 9.10 to 9.11. That had a bunch of improvements to automation, basically bringing it closer to feature parity with cloud. And a bunch of technical performance admin related improvements. Yeah. Same thing goes for Confluence. We can now embed advanced roadmaps within Confluence Data Center. We've seen improvements to search, so quicker index, more intelligent searches. It's nice, and the rest of it, behind the scenes, admin only, technical speed improvements, stuff like that. AI is also rolling out in beta. Anyone that has had a bit of hands-on with that? Yeah. Yeah. So it's been on a selection basis, and you would perhaps only get access to one of the products and not all of them, and some of them were more interesting than others, and yeah.
The only version that seems to exist right now is the query in Jira software issues.
Yeah.
When you're writing a Jira query, then you can write it as a sentence.
You can do natural language queries. So show me all of the bugs that were unresolved in the past sprint, and it'll translate that to a query. It's really nice. I do have access to the Confluence one if we have time. I didn't think any of them were mature enough to actually do a full demo today, or perhaps we will do like a hands-on workshop at a later meeting. But if we have time later today, we can have a quick look at the Confluence one. Yeah. That was the selection of news I brought today. We expect a bunch more on the ITSM conference next time, of course. So I didn't bring any Jira Service Management related things here today. But yeah, Before the break, I would like to ask you all to go to this address here in your browser on your laptop. If you don't have Wi-Fi yet, by the way, it's the AU guest network. You need to join and get an SMS code. You should be able to reach the internet. ACE-Aarhus-demo-2308. This meeting was planned for last month, but we moved it because of the DHL run. You should be able to request access, and we will grant you access. We will take a quick break. After that, my thought was, you pick a topic. We split out into smaller groups. Obviously, I was expecting us to be a bit more than 9 people. So yeah, let's see what gets the most interest. For advanced roadmaps and Jira product discovery, we've prepared some brief guides that show you the basic functionality, how to set up a plan in advanced roadmaps, how to create ideas, work with them in Jira product discovery. For automation in Jira, well, it's basically a sandbox. There are a few challenges, a few suggestions of things you could try to implement, but you get to toy around with sample data in Jira. No risk to your actual production data.